Hello and welcome to This Time Africa Media, the place that connects the community to news and briefs and brings you laughter and the people that make things happen. We educate, we empower, and we engage. And as usual, I'm your host, Sia Matilda Bange. When we come back, I will introduce you to our guest, who is a community strategist and a business leader. You hang in there. We'll be right back.
ZambianMusicBlog. Criterion Music is burning alive.
Team Prophet 97.
Girl, you know my heart just wants you to believe in what I can do for you. Baby, let me be the king to your heart as a keeper. Care when you heal, be your healer. Twin for your soul like a mirror. Fly kicks in your won't be a ninja.
To the show. This is This Time Africa Media, and today I have with me a very wonderful, good gentleman, Kweku Amoako. Welcome to the show, Quakes.
Thank you.
Can I call you Quakes?
Yes, you can.
That's what everybody calls you. So.
Yes.
Well, we are on tea for two today, and I hope you like your tea.
I'm loving it.
That's This Time Africa tea. All right, so Kweku, for those of you who have not met him, don't know him, have not heard, which I'll be surprised, is associated with Drum Pulse Entertainment. You are the director, strategic planning, program director, a business analyst. In fact, one of your friends describes you as, so let you know I do a lot of research, one of your friends describes you as a man of integrity and morale.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
But we meet you as the Washington, D.C. entertainment mogul, Afropolitan Cities.
Yes.
So welcome again.
Thank you so much.
How many years has Afropolitan been? Afropolitan Cities? How many
Afropolitan is going to be 7 years in summertime, so about 6.5 now.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Tell me a little bit story about the background. Where are you at with Afropolitan Cities?
So Afropolitan Cities, like you said, started because, I felt like Africa needed a much stronger representation in the diaspora. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of intellectual capital, social capital in the diaspora that we are not taking advantage of. And I felt like we needed to come together, create a network that we can then leverage to support a lot of projects and initiatives in the diaspora and on the continent. So currently we are arguably the largest diaspora organization with over 100,000 members.
Yes.
And our key activity is the Afropolitan Series, which is a large cultural mixer that combines networking, cultural showcase, business spotlight, and dance all in a 5-hour experience. And we do this across 9 different cities now. We just launched in Ghana.
Oh, I was about to say 9. I think the last time I spoke to you, we were like, what?
It was 8. It was 8. So
okay.
we added one more city.
And those cities are?
The cities are Washington, D.C., New York, L.A., ATL, Houston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Miami, and
now Ghana.
Oh.
See, I was just trying to test you to see if you remember all this.
Oh, yes.
Because I did do a background about that.
Okay.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And guess, you know what? You're on BBC World News.
Yes.
How about that? Tell me a little. BBC World
News. I received a call from BBC. They had heard about Afropolitan, and they wanted to know what Afropolitan is all about, and I was more than happy to feature on their program. So that's how it all happened.
Man, I think that's one of your big bangs so far, because I'm just saying BBC World News for us, especially coming from Africa, for us is a big bang. I don't want you to... you want to be humble, but it's a big bang.
Oh, I appreciate that. I know that because on the next day I got a lot of calls from my friends. Like, I just saw you on BBC. I was like, yeah, I was there.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
So what other big bang would you say happened for you in 2019? Because the last time I spoke to you, you said every year you count on something. So what would you say it was for?
So, like you said, last year we were trying to figure out how to really diversify the experiences that we bring to the diaspora, right? And so one of the things we successfully did was we added, if you're looking at it as an event portfolio, because mostly what we do is event, we're able to add onto our event portfolio a lot of professional programming, which is diaspora panel sessions. We did a lot of major festivals last year that we launched. We're able to grow our network by another 10,000, another 10,000 people. And of course, we launched in Accra. So those were all major milestones for us.
And launching at Accra, tell me a little bit.
Yeah.
How was it received? I mean, like, it's like I already know, but just like, wow. Yeah, we're finally home.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Which is always the plan. First of all, last year was the year of return.
Yes, it was.
So there was a big hype around the year of return. A lot of people in the diaspora were going to go visit Ghana, as part of the year of return, activities. And so it was a perfect opportunity for us. Obviously, we didn't plan it that way, but it coincided with the year of return. And so given that we already have a strong presence in the diaspora,
correct,
we were able to, pull a lot of people to the event in Accra. And it was a great success. So we're going to do it again this year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, I guess before you go there, we'll talk a little bit more, have a show, and let people know when it's going to happen.
Exactly.
So, Quakes, Afropolitan Cities looks at opportunities, social and business opportunities.
Yes.
And I would like for us to deliberate on that a little bit so that we give people an insight that it's not just meeting and dancing,
Right.
cultural cross,
Right.
but what is it about the social and the business opportunities?
So, the whole idea is, how do we harness the social capital in the diaspora for, various projects and initiatives, right? How do we really harness the human capital in the diaspora for different opportunities? And so we do it in two ways. One is we first create a network through our events.
Okay.
And beyond the network, we also do a lot of programming, like we did the Georgetown Africa Business Conference. They actually just did it again on Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this weekend. And we support a lot of businesses in the diaspora as well. So when you come to Afropolitan, you're actually not going to just see people dancing and having fun. You're actually going to see a lot of businesses setting up. We provide a lot of exposure to a lot of businesses that otherwise will never be noticed,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
We also have a really strong database of diaspora businesses.
Okay.
And we work with organizations like the African Union. We work with a lot of different embassies. And our whole mission is, how do we really collaborate with all these very reputable organizations on the same agenda? How do we harness the networks and the social capital in the diaspora to support and build the diaspora base and support projects on the continent? That's really what it's about. So the events is a really easy way to create the network. It's really how we bring people into the network. And beyond that, we engage them in other ways.
And I also heard that you have had not just businesses come out of those meetings,
Yes.
but you've even had like social, like marriages.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
It's a good place without you advertising it as, meet a single club, whatever. But
Exactly.
you meet people and things happen.
Exactly. And that happens by default, right? I mean, it's that, it always, the theory behind Afropolitan was that when you bring people together in a social setting,
Yes.
and sort of foster an environment that allows or encourages people to network, by default, people are going to grow their professional networks, but not only that, people are also going to grow their social networks. And we just bring the people and we let them do what they do. So marriages come out of it.
That's good.
Business partnerships come out of it.
That's great.
And that's what we're looking for. So we're always excited about that.
I am so excited.
Yeah, and it's funny how it comes full circle, because they then call us to play at the weddings and be a part of it. So it's amazing. Yeah.
You must have godfathered a lot of weddings.
Oh, yeah.
So what is it that Afropolitan Cities would like to revolutionize? Because when you look back at the history, most times when something new, I want to say new, emerges, there's something that the visionaire has thought about.
Right.
to kind of revolutionize or up it up a little bit? What is it?
That's a great question. The idea is that the diaspora can contribute and be a part of development and growth.
Okay.
And also, a lot of the times you hear you hear people say the diaspora is the secret to Africa's development. Yet, it hasn't happened.
Yes.
At least in a major, meaningful way.
Yeah.
And so, what we're doing is being the vehicle that makes that happen.
Okay.
Right? We want to say, in order for us to realize that vision of the diaspora being the secret to Africa's development, we have to organize.
Yes.
We have to come together, and we have to start programs and initiatives that really enable that to happen. So the vision is really for us to get to the point where the diaspora is really contributing in a major way to Africa's development.
That is great. That is definitely great. And so I would say, have you seen the signs of that being accomplished?
Yes. I'm a strong advocate of businesses, right? Not to undermine the government, but I think the private sector has a really huge part to play in development efforts. So I think that, number one, I almost envisioned it as if the diaspora can really establish our economic base, which is how can people in the diaspora start initiatives and businesses that can then support businesses back home.
Back home, yes.
Right. So through the network, what we do is we foster that environment to happen.
Yes.
And we also make sure that we're doing it so that the partnerships that are happening are cross-cultural. Not just Nigerians meeting Nigerians starting businesses,
That's right.
but Nigerians meeting South Africans, Sierra Leoneans meeting Ghanaians, and Zambians meeting Kenyan people.
Yeah.
So cross-border, cross-cultural partnerships that can really also foster, intra, Africa trade, and all of that. So as far as that happening, we've seen a lot of examples of that at Afropolitan. People that have met at Afropolitan that became friends and then became business partners. We have agro businesses that have come out of it through those partnerships. We have a lot of people that have started some financial organizations through coming to Afropolitan. And so I can go on and on about the results that have come out of just the Afropolitan network.
But I am so happy to hear that, because I think there was a time we had a conversation and I said, so sometimes people leave the diaspora by themselves and go to Africa, for instance, to contest elections for one thing or the other, and they don't have a base. They don't have a base.
Right.
So I see Afropolitan Cities as a base, not just politically, but at least you go there and you have a network of people.
Right.
So if anything happens, you want to come back, hey, you have a base that you can come back to. You can be there and say, okay, my term, four-year term is over. I want to come back to the U.S. and get a job.
Exactly.
Which is, I think it's a long-time thing to think about, because some people leave here and go after 4 times, they don't know what to do.
Right.
Right? So if we have Afropolitan Cities, the network and all of that, we can safely say, you know what, I'll come back to the U.S. and something will happen.
Exactly.
All right. So that's very good. Would you describe yourself as somebody who is curious?
I'm forever curious, yes. Definitely, that's the only way. I'm extremely curious about a lot of different things. I don't know it all. I have to be curious.
I have to be curious. I don't know it all, says Kweku Amoako, who is the entertainment mogul here in Washington, D.C. and all over. And now we bounce to Africa. We'll be right back. We're taking a short break.
Team Prophet. 97.
Girl, you know my heart just wants you to believe in what I can do for you. Baby, let me be the king to your heart as a keeper. Care when you're he'll be your healer. Twin for your soul like a mirror. Fly kicks in your won't be a ninja.
Well, welcome back to the show. I have with me here the entertainment mogul, Kweku Amoako, and today we are talking about this and that, but T for two. So, subscribe and please like us and help us to fund End of period, not end of education. All right, that's our project. That's what This Time Africa is for. End of period does not have to end your education. But let me go back to you, Kweku.
Yes.
What's the vision for 2020?
Oh, I want to do so much, but I have to control myself. But the idea in 2019, we experiment a lot in terms of expanding our event portfolio. I would say also that the African consciousness is really growing in the diaspora.
Yes.
And even though at the time when we started Afropolitan, the idea was very unique, and the consciousness wasn't as high. Now it's everywhere, and people are replicating our model, and so there's a lot of competition in the space.
How do you handle it?
And that's why we have to innovate.
Yes.
We have to innovate.
Yeah.
And so we have to come up with other unique ideas, other unique experiences that we're creating. One of the things I had mentioned last time I spoke to you was travel.
Yes.
And so what we're doing is we're also going to take the Afropolitan experiences onto the continent, and we're going to take with us the diaspora, on the continent. So number one, we are trying to really execute on some of the major festivals and experiences that we're thinking about. We're trying to expand into travel as well.
Yeah.
And lastly, we are also going to start an app.
Okay.
The connections that happens at Afropolitan is great.
Yeah.
People want to see that on a more frequent basis.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to make it happen online on technology platform where you don't have to wait for every first Friday,
Yes.
to connect with the diaspora. You can just go on the application and connect with people. And on the app, we're also going to make a lot of African businesses accessible, and make it easy for us to find each other and the services that we provide. And so that's the vision. We're going the technology route. We're expanding our portfolio, and we hope to make it in a major way that for 2020.
I told you, wherever you go, you have to go to Sierra Leone.
Yeah, that's right.
It's on the map.
Yes. Well, I'm sure we'll make our way there. Yeah.
All right. So, do you feel overwhelmed sometimes? Do you feel like pressure? Because all eyes on you.
Yes, it can be overwhelming because the operation behind any major movement is can be daunting.
Okay.
But again, if this is your passion, if this is something that you really want to see happen, then your bigger vision, your bigger idea completely trumps any obstacles that can come your way.
I'm surprised you said that, because I was going to ask you, what would you say to somebody who thinks that they have failed? Because you're talking about having the passion, the big idea that trumps the obstacles and the adversities that you have. What would you say to people who are afraid of failure?
They say there's no such thing as failure. There's only lessons learned.
That's right. I love that. Say that again. There's no such thing as failure. There are only lessons learned on the journey. So we fall down and we get up.
Yeah. Right.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So, it's going to get challenging. Anything that you're doing that is significant on this earth, you're going to get a backlash. You're going to get significant obstacles on the way. But you have to be motivated by your passion and your vision so much that nothing can stop you. And you have to see, I always say that everything is an experiment. There's no such thing as a destination. Everything is an experiment. There's no such thing as a final product. Even products are experiments, right? Because you create something, you sometimes underestimate how much assumptions you create things with.
Yeah.
And so when you put it out there in the community, you get a response.
Yes.
Sometimes they like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't like it. Now, when they say they don't like it, it doesn't mean you're a failure.
Yeah,
it means that they're telling you that this is how you need to improve it.
To tweak it or improve it, yes.
And so if you are open-minded enough to respond very positively to that response, you can see that you can make an adjustment and really, be in sync with the pulse of the community, with the pulse of your base.
Yes.
And if you can adjust and be open-minded and roll with that, you see that you are almost always going to be successful along the way. And you learn and do something bigger with it.
Continue to
move on, yeah.
So are there people that keep Kweku grounded, or is it Kweku? How does Kweku overcome those challenges?
Man, you're asking some good questions today.
I'm a journalist, Kweku.
Yes, number one, I just told you I came from church, so
Okay.
you have to be grounded in your faith. There has to be something much bigger than you that you believe in, and that really becomes your moral compass. And then you also have to always surround yourself with smarter people, with people that are as principled, the same vision, and always challenge you, not only from execution standpoint, but also from a moral standpoint, right? You have to have friends that say what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
You can't think about it that way, Quakes, and and they get you to think about what you're doing and reassess it, and always present your best. So
That's very good. That's very good. I have to come back to asking you questions about you and other things, but I just thought about this. The year of the return was last year.
what's last year?
So what's this year?
They call it Beyond the Return.
Okay, because I've read about it and heard about it.
Right.
So beyond the return, are we looking at building? Are we looking, and if we're looking at building, what do we want to build?
Right. So first of all, let me say this: the year of return was an amazing and extremely successful campaign.
Yes.
Ghana was able to attract about 1 million visitors in 2019.
Wow.
And estimated that the economy was boosted. There was a boost in the economy by about $2 billion because of the year of return.
Wow.
So that's a major.
That's a major.
That's a major deal.
empowerment
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And for me, that is just an example of what the opportunity that lies ahead when people of African descent come together.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of African Americans that travel to Ghana to
I
obviously
saw that.
discover their roots and
Yes.
reconnect with their roots and all that. And while they're there, they're going to visit various destinations and
businesses.
experience, and all that. And through that, the byproduct of that was economic boost,
Yes.
right? And so kudos to the Ghana government for that initiative, right? But coming back to your question, you said what was the
year after beyond what
the beyond the right? What's the okay? So 2020 is beyond the return.
Beyond the return.
And Ghana government said, we had all these people coming to Ghana. This year they used 2019 to attract people to Ghana.
Yeah.
So now they're saying that how can we, convert that opportunity into real economic development?
Okay.
How can we now attract people to not only visit Ghana, but also to build in Ghana?
Yes.
Right? To create businesses, to partner with different organizations, to attract investors,
Yes.
To attract
Continuity.
continuity,
Sustainability
exactly.
of the event.
Of the event, bringing expertise to build stuff,
Yes.
right? So it's a really, really smart strategy for economic development.
Okay.
There's a lot of expertise out there. There's a lot of unused capital out there. How do we bring all of that to Ghana, which is much needed in all parts of Africa?
Yes.
And the year of return was the way they did. So beyond the return, let's all go start businesses in Ghana.
Do you still have some land there I can buy?
I'm sure Ghana government can. Africa, we can always create things where we want to make it happen. Yes.
We can always find it. But that's
Right.
that's very great. I just wanted our viewers to also hear that, because we know we all heard about the year of the return.
Right.
So now we've returned. We have done our network. So what next?
Right, exactly.
So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So what would you ascribe your success to?
First of all, I don't know if I'm successful yet.
I think you are. If anybody that can make a difference. So this is what I say.
Okay.
Anybody that can make a difference in the lives of one or two
Right.
more people.
Right.
And you can go back, sit on the chair and relax. I think that's success for me.
Right.
It's not just finance.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. That I can answer.
Okay, go ahead.
No, absolutely. If you think about it, I think it's really identifying the ability to identify a major problem in the community, and not only having the balls to to challenge it, but also being a solution to it, right? And sacrificing everything. A lot of people say, another version of your question, a lot of people ask me, where do you get your confidence? And I say, it's about I'm willing to sacrifice or make the necessary sacrifices to see the needed results that can make a difference or bring about change in the diaspora and in Africa. So I think that my success comes from the same thing, right? My willingness to make those sacrifices.
Your willingness to make sacrifices. That's very good. So what do you do for fun?
Oh.
I know that, I saw you on the thing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the other day I walked in there, I was like,
okay, you got it nasty.
But so, other than, what do you do for fun when he's by himself, when we're not all around you in there?
You don't want to know all of it, but no, I really love sports. Like I said, I play basketball almost every time I get. I play soccer. I used to be part of a lot of soccer, what do you call it, leagues in the DMV, but I don't have time for that anymore. So I play whenever I can. I read a lot. I try to read as much, and I like to eat and hang out with friends.
Oh, you like to eat?
Yeah,
Okay.
and hang out. I love hanging out with friends.
Oh, talking about eat, I have to get you on this one, on the jollof gist.
Oh, okay.
I have to get you on the jollof gist. Tell people what the jollof gist is, because I know that Sierra Leone makes the best jollof rice. But go ahead.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on your program. We are going to shut down this time Africa just for that comment.
Next time I'll cook and people will try my jollof.
Okay, well, I guess I have to come with a Ghana jollof here too. No, but so we did a jollof competition. One of the big festivals I was talking about.
Yes.
Last in 2019, and it was very successful. The idea is that in order to introduce, we want to introduce African culture or popular African culture to the world. We want the world to really understand what Africa has to offer.
Yes.
And one of the things that we can boast about is our food culturally.
That's right.
And so jollof is a mystery, in a sense, because this is one of the only food items that you can find across different parts of Africa. At least 6 African countries.
Yes.
All have the same dish, and so and it becomes a thing of bragging, where everybody wants to know who has the best jollof. And so if you think about it, it's the best idea for an event, because people naturally just gravitate to supporting their countries and making a big hype for it. And so when they come to the event, it's always a fun experience.
I can now see why you're so curious. So do you believe in luck, chance, divine, hard work? What would you say?
You're good. You're good. I like your questions. I like your questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I do. My friends always tell me I'm a little superstitious, but that's conversation for another time. But yeah, I think that luck is a byproduct of. They say luck is a byproduct of design.
Okay.
Right. I think in the grand scheme of things, people get lucky, but I think the real luck comes from your strong passion, your strong desire for something, having some minimum preparation, and God putting opportunities along the way for you. And so it is the byproduct of design. And of divine, I want to say divine intervention. I believe in it. Yes.
I really believe in it.
Yes, I do.
So I know we are almost out of time, but I have this one question that I would like you to look in that camera and talk to somebody who is listening.
Okay.
What is one rule that Kweku lives by?
Let me think about that one.
Think about it.
I said one already. I said everything is an experiment, so there's no endlessness. The other one I always say is hyper focus.
Okay.
Everything that you do, you have to be extremely hyper focused on it, because there's so many ways of killing the cat, like we say in Africa. And when you start something and you begin to gain traction, everybody wants to be part of that success. And you get opportunities thrown at you from different angles. And if you're not careful, you lose your path, your line of vision. Exactly, your original vision. And so, and also from a business standpoint, when you try to do too much, you really spread yourself too thin.
Yes.
You really spread yourself too thin, and before you know it, you are off the course. And so, maintaining the focus in anything you do is absolutely critical, and that's one of the rules that I live by.
That's the rule that Kweku Amoako, who is the entertainment mogul in Washington, D.C. and other 8 cities as well as including Africa, that's the rule that he lives by. Be focused on what you are doing. This is how we bring the curtain down today. It's been very good to have you.
Always
again.
A pleasure to talk to you.
Always a pleasure. It's been Tea for Two right here on This Time Africa. I say to you, please subscribe and support our program, End of Period, not End of Education. It's me, Sia Matilda Banga, and I'll see you next time.
ZambianMusicBlog.com. Criterion Music.
Team Proverb. 97.
Girl, you know my heart just wants you to believe in what I can do for you. Baby, let me be the king to your heart as a keeper. Care when you're he'll be your healer. Twin for your soul like a mirror. Fly kicks in your won't be a ninja. Call on me, girl. If you're looking for some bad man love, you better call on me, girl. Just call on me, call on me. If you're looking for some good love, you better